Hey, buddy.
Hey, Gina. Good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
So what? You're staying here instead of going out to the dump?
Yeah, why not?
Sure.
You know, you got to mix it up for folks, you know?
Yeah?
Yeah, and it's a beautiful spot, and you connect with people on your own.
Yep. Right.
You know, the dump is, I don't know.
It's a happening place, though, isn't it?
I don't know. Well, it's just as happening on that corner. Everybody passes through.
I think that's a good move.
If you know, you want to get elected, you can't.
Watch your foot there. Would you put? Maybe. Yeah. There you go.
You can't. You know, when you want to be the leader of the town, you can't just follow what everybody else does.
Exactly. So why don't you take us through why you're running again? I think people are kind of curious about that.
Yeah. So you know, one of the main reasons is you know I really wanted to run again the last time I ran. You know, go for 2 terms instead of just 1. And you know, I had a big conversation with Tim Madden, and he was like, you know, you should run for state representative. And a lot of people encouraged me to do that, and so I gave it a try. Learned a lot from it. You know, campaigning on Falmouth and Martha's Vineyard, and really got to just engage with people. And you know, then after my dad passed away, it was great just to have like 3 years to take some time off the board to you know, focus on work and my family, and you know, I'm still as energized.
What did you learn from running for state rep?
I learned a couple things. Like, 1, you know, state government is really important and how it affects like Nantucket. 2, I learned that, you know, the same problems that we face on Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard faces. So we have this great sister island that, you know, they do some things really well that we don't do well on Nantucket, and we do some things really well that they don't do well over there on the vineyard. So I just learned that there's a lot that we can share between the islands.
Got it. Okay, let's go into your experience. Obviously, you've had some. I haven't been down here yet.
Yeah, so, you know.
Go into that.
Well, so I served on the Board of Selectmen for 3 years. I was on the Affordable Housing Trust Fund for 2. I was on the CPC for 2 years. I was really active in, you know, negotiations with Richmond Property, affordable housing, talking a lot about water quality. I went to a zillion different meetings up at the State House locally. You know, I have a background as a stonemason, so I really understand, like, you know, the working class people on Nantucket. I relate to them. You know, when we talk about, you know, kind of the 3 main things I hear a lot about when it comes to like affordable housing, it's not enough in my mind just to be like for stopping 40Bs or for affordable housing. You have to do more. You have to propose solutions, and so that's what I did with my Article 37. You know, when it comes to issues surrounding the environment and renewable energy, you know, I run a solar company. Like, I understand what we need to do to transition to 100% renewable energy as a community. You know, our ancestors used to export oil to, you know, whale oil to London. And, you know, we come from great people. We come, you know, as Nantucketers, you know, we gave women were on equal footing as men historically. Yep. You know, we had the first. Oh, that's cool. Beautiful hawk. Look at that.
We got that guy on.
That was a beautiful hawk.
Cool.
You know, we had the first African American whaling captain. You know, we come from a history of people that was so focused on showing leadership and change. And I think as a community, we've lost that vision for what we want to be. We're focused on, you know, just, you know, making money and development. And I think is what we need to focus on more. And then something I try to provide vision on is like, let's imagine an island that we all want to live in, you know, that runs on 100% renewable energy,
right,
that has, you know, affordable housing for everyone, that understands that, like, over-tourism is a real thing, you know, like Venice, Hawaii, Barcelona all face these problems of, like, endless growth, and that degrades the fundamental thing that's valuable about Nantucket, which is the people, the environment. Like, we can't just continue to grow forever. We have to be sensible about it.
Okay, well, so, I mean, you're definitely passionate, Tobias. We know.
Yeah.
I think we've known from the past about how passionate you are, and I think you bring a certain style, a certain approach to the board, you would, and you did, that was definitely more environmental, wouldn't you say?
Yeah,
you're
no.
more conscious that those would be your constituents, the people that care about the environment.
Yeah,
would
yeah,
you say?
yeah. Well, definitely. But I also at the same time think like the town needs to be run well. So
Okay,
I took some tough votes on things.
Yes, you did. But we'll get into those.
Yeah.
I got a whole bunch of questions, and I don't want to.
Yeah.
You know, we only have a
short amount
pretty
of
much
time.
a week before this big election is coming. So.
Well, you're the interviewer. I'll let you shoot.
All right. Well, okay. What about Surfside Crossing?
Well, so Surfside Crossing is something I'm not in favor of.
Okay.
I'm opposed to.
Yep.
But I'm for solutions. So if we don't want to have 40Bs anymore, we got to get to our 10% affordable number. So everybody talks about affordable housing, like, oh, we got to do this, got to do that.
Well, before you get into that, just talk to me about Surfside Crossing, though.
So
what should we do about it? How are we going to handle it?
So I've attended a number of the ZBA meetings. I think what should happen is the ZBA should... So maybe to contextualize, the ZBA is not in a position to deny the permit outright, regardless of whether it's 156 units or 92 units. I think the best thing for the ZBA to do is to approve a permit at 92 units and put in a number of conditions in there that they find are prudent to make the project is trying to the best to fit in.
Okay, so 92, you'd bring it to 92.
I think that's where they're at right now in the ZBA.
Would the owners be okay with that?
Well, so I think in the context of things is like the ZBA puts that forward, and then that shows that they worked with the owners, and then the owners really have no choice.
They would not have a choice.
Yeah, they
would just build higher end units to make the money that they plan to make.
No, well, they're basically...
That's what it's about, isn't it?
Well, no, they'd have to build, 92 units, and that's it.
Yeah, but they want to make a certain amount of money. Let's face it. They're in it for the money.
Of course.
And so, and we're in it because we see that this place is not going to make sense with that much density.
Yeah, no.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, obviously, it doesn't. And people are really upset about it. So you're saying 92.
All right. I'm saying 92.
All right.
Because I believe you can't just be against it. You can't just vote it down because then they're going to...
No, I agree. They got to make their money, and I'm not denying that.
Well, no, it's not just that. It's like you have to be practical about how the system works and understand it. And that's something I bring to the select board is I know... I have experience in negotiating. I negotiated with Richmond. I negotiated, and advocated for 6 fairgrounds being developed at Tacoma Greens. Like, I advocated for solutions. I fought for solutions while on the board, and I'm going to continue to do that.
All right, and then that brings me up to you've got an article, and why don't you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, so Article 37, what it aims to do is everybody's talked about, okay, well, we don't want this real intense density, at one location, but we are for affordable housing. And so I looked at the problem and I said, hey, if affordable housing is one of the number one issues facing the community, arguably, and 40Bs, there's like the big focus in the community, has been for the last 2 or 3 years, ever since 106 Surfside. We're going back. We've had a problem for a while, and we continue to not deal with it. Well, then in my mind, we should be spending about 1% of our budget per year on housing. My article proposes we borrow $20 million.
I thought it was 30.
Going through the process with the Board of Selectmen, the Finance Committee supported the article at $10 million. The Board of Selectmen supported it at $20 million. So I'm advocating for 20. The reason why I'm advocating for $20 million is it can purchase you. The numbers we ran for 2018, looking back and saying, how would it work?
Okay.
You could purchase 25 units of affordable housing, get you 1 year of safe harbor, and that gets you really close to your 10% affordability, assuming Richmond and assuming that Tacoma Greens gets built and their permits are issued.
All right, so for those people who are new to voting, and hopefully there'll be a lot of new voters, explain what you mean by this article. Okay,
so 40Bs, if you're against 40Bs, you need to be for creating 490 SHI units, okay?
Yeah.
And those are called state subsidized housing inventory. That's what SHI stands for. So the state mandates that every community in Massachusetts has to have a certain 10% affordable housing. Well, Nantucket has, I want to say about 139 or maybe it's 140 subsidized housing units. Once Richmond and Tacoma Greens permits are issued, we'll be about 40 shy, 40 units. We'll be almost there.
Right.
And so what Article 37 aims to do is put 24 units on and give a permanent revenue stream that's self-generating through rents to provide housing ongoing into the future, to purchase new going on into the future.
Okay. Got it. So that's...
Yeah, it solves the problem.
I was impressed. Rick is still involved with you, right?
Yeah, Rick is involved, and it's like, I got the support of the Finance Committee, I got the support of the Board of Selectmen, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Like, everybody in the community is really for this. Like, it's an expensive solution, but it's a solution. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't be against... You have to be for something, and so I'm asking the voters for, if we want to maintain Nantucket as is, we need to reverse fundamentally a trend that I just want to really explain briefly, Gino. That every year, about a third of properties that are sold go from year-round to seasonal.
Right.
A third of them. So every year we're losing our year-round community. Right. It's just disappearing. And unless we reverse that trend, unless we have the financial muscle of the town taking part in reversing that trend.
Let's look down the road for just a second. Mm-hmm. Do you think there's a risk of building too much affordable housing? And what would that mean?
Yeah.
Once the boom, which we know will end, what are we going to be like?
So there's always that risk, and that's what's great about my article is it's an authorization to build, to purchase units. It doesn't say we have to. And when I look back, I drafted the article looking back at what happened in 2008. If the town was in a position, and the community was in a position to purchase affordable housing units, we could have saved 500 year-round families who got foreclosed on and had to move off island. And then folks who wanted to have their dream home on Nantucket bought those 500 properties that, you had a renter living in the back, and it exacerbated the affordable housing crisis that we now have in 2019. And that all played out between 2008 and 2012 at the bottom of the market.
Okay.
This article gives the town the financial flexibility to participate in solving the problem in a long-term capacity.
All right, let's get on to another one. Should we sewer Nantucket?
I don't believe so.
Wow. That surprises me.
So,
How about you?
I think
water quality guy?
I'm a big water quality guy, but ultimately, I don't think sewering Nantucket in the way it was proposed is really feasible or economically viable.
Well, what's more important, water quality or economics?
For me, I think water quality is more important for the harbor. Nantucket is important, but
that one we could skip. And you're saying sewer everything else but Nantucket?
I'm saying it's just $100 million plus is a huge amount of money to sewer Nantucket. That is an absolutely huge amount of money, and so I think we really need to be looking at other solutions for Nantucket.
I don't know if there are.
In the context
completely. What about?
There are other solutions.
Well, what about Wallwinnet?
There's AI systems. There's tight tanks. There's composting toilets.
Yeah, but you're going to make people use a tight tank.
There's composting toilets. There are lots.
They're not going to use those. They're big money, man.
Hey, that's a real solution, Gino. Right? Why should the whole entire community just pay $100 million to sewer a very small area? And we need to talk about betterments if that's the context.
All right, let's move on. What about the landfill? What are we doing out there? What do we need to do?
Well, so the landfill contract ends in a few years. We need to ultimately cap part of it, and we need to have a serious conversation about reducing the amount of plastic we use. There's folks in Sweden, they show up at the grocery store, they take the stuff out of the plastic container and they leave it there. The corporations are forcing this waste on us. We need to stop that. I think we've done a great job with our new recycling coordinator, trying to encourage people to be a little more educated about it. I think that's important. But ultimately, I want to advocate for closing down the dump and then having a transfer station over at Industry Way. You know, Nat Lowell and I have been talking about it for years, and it really makes a lot of sense to have the dump, you know, eventually close down and just be a transfer station.
Where does the trash go then? You just haul it off.
We'd haul off all the plastics and whatnot and try to reduce that down as much as possible, and everything else we produce.
Are you in favor of banning plastic and single-use plastic?
100%. I think it's so important, you know. It's a huge, like, if you look fundamentally at the town's budget, you know, we're spending, you know, anywhere between, you know, $3 and $10 million every year, not including capital expenses, to deal with our trash. We spend more on the dump than we do on housing. What does that say about our society? We value trash more than we value housing people.
There you go. What about fertilizers and you know, I know you like water quality, but what are you going to tell these folks that love having their green lawns? I mean,
I think we have to. Yeah. So I think we're getting into a bigger conversation, which is fundamentally one of the biggest problems facing the harbor is global ocean temperatures that are rising rapidly, and that is having a massive impact on the harbor. So if we want to really clean up our water, we need to deal with climate change. We need to seriously change our habits and our way of going about our lives if we want to deal with climate change and clean up our harbors. Secondly, when it comes to like thinking big about cleaning up our harbor, I think we should be talking about opening up the head of the harbor with a big pipe and flushing it. I think we should be talking about banning fertilizers in the watershed in certain areas. I think that's, you know, the harbor has gotten so absolutely
Tobias,
bad.
Look,
how can we just continue to walk around?
Listen, we have been watching the degradation of the planet since the Industrial Revolution. We have not turned the corner in making things cleaner and better on a sustainable level. It just keeps getting worse, whether it's the insects, the bees, the plastic in the ocean, you know, and now the poisons that we find in the earth. I mean, there's a reason why we're losing insects. All right, so at some point we got to ban all of that stuff. It's just, when are we going to actually do it?
Yeah, I think that's...
Whether it's 50 years from now or, you know, next year. Right? I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
It totally comes down to it.
All right, let's
totally
move on.
agree.
I got to ask you about our island home. Okay. What should we do? Should we fix it up? Should we build a new one? Should we sell it?
I'm a fan of building a new one. I don't think we should be building an island home in a floodplain. I think we can look at what happened.
So where it is no good for you?
It's no good. We can't build on the site because it's all packed in together. We can't build while there's seniors there. You know, it's basically the noise from the construction will cause a huge amount of trauma for folks. But I think we can build a beautiful facility for folks.
Okay.
And put a daycare in it.
But that's a lot of money, though. Come on. That's a lot of money.
You know,
should we spend money on that kind of...
Yes, I think
Why?
so. I think our seniors are important. I think it's important to take care of people. And our seniors are important in that capacity.
So, are you saying you're in favor of universal health care?
I'm at a grander federal level. Yeah, definitely, 100%. It's a much more
So, if that were the case, there probably would be federal dollars to help people with nursing homes, right?
Oh, definitely.
And we'd start taking care of people.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the big problems right now.
All right, now traffic. Are we not doing enough with our preparing for the amount of housing we see coming?
Oh no, we're not doing enough at all.
We're incentivizing.
We're incentivizing the wrong things. You know, like when it comes to the Rotary, I'm completely against the Rotary. Like every single major city in the world has tried to increase flow, building bigger interstates, you know, faster traffic lights to get more cars moving faster. Fundamentally, then, just more cars come and the traffic is worse. You can look at all the major cities and they all have the same problem. In our backyard, they did the Big Dig, okay? Huge infrastructure project in Boston. Traffic is one of the worst traffic cities in America. We can't continue to focus on trying to get cars to move faster.
Well, the Big Dig, I don't think anybody's going to argue that the Big Dig didn't help. I mean, that's a success story, don't you think?
The traffic is just as bad as it was.
Oh, I don't
Statistically,
know. I
yeah,
mean,
Gina.
there's bad traffic at times, but I mean, it would have been a hell of a lot worse if they hadn't built that.
Trust me,
Imagine. Remember what it was like? It was horrible.
And the same, but you can look at. There's other examples.
All right. I know you're a big proponent of.
And then there's so
alternative.
many. I think the big piece is we need to focus our funding on getting, like, you can't walk safely from Stop and Shop in the Mid Islands to downtown. It's a mile. If you lived in any other city in America, if you only had to walk a mile for your commute, you would walk it by far.
So you think that's a good idea? So the fire station would have made a great place for affordable housing,
or
fire station,
or transportation, or yeah.
Keep it right there so people can walk to the Stop and Shop.
We need to be spending our money on what our priorities and our values are.
All right. So we got that. So here's the last question. There's 2 seats available.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to take one possibly. Who would be the other person you would choose?
So there's really 3 other folks I really like, and I'm really at a toss-up. I really like Matt Fee because he's experienced, and I think right now I love Jason and Rita. They're new to the board still. They've been on it for 3 years. They're doing a phenomenal job. But I think having that real experience is something I personally value.
Okay.
I think we need our town fathers to have a lot of experience. I also really like Charity Grace, and I also really like Christina Ferrantella. I encourage them both to run. I know it's their first time running, so I know it's really hard to get elected in that capacity, but I really like what they communicate about the future. I love the fact that, the conversation that they have really moved to the forefront in a campaign. And I love the fact that they're both young and they're both relatively unheard of. And they're going out there running and talking. It's awesome.
Seems to be popular these days.
Well, when I ran when I was 23, everybody thought I was a madman. And now it's like things have turned the tide. So I'm just excited about that.
Okay. Anything else you want to say to the folks out there?
I'd just say that, we're facing huge challenges as a community, and please elect someone with leadership, experience, and passion, and a vision for a sustainable future on Nantucket. Thank you.
Good. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Gino.
Okay, Tobias.
Always a pleasure.
You got it, man.
We'll catch you later then.
We will.
All right.
You have a good day. Good luck to you.
Bye.
Gotta have that sign. Show me that sign. I don't think anybody got to see it. Oh, yeah.
It's one thing to talk about sustainability and then buy a bunch of plastic signs.
You got it. All right, buddy. See ya.
Have a good one, Gino.
Yep.